And we're back. Money line Monaco, week 4. Alex Monaco joining you fresh off a 3-0. Make sure to follow me on the Action Network where all my picks are dropped. We were all in on the Seattle Seahawks on the road. Sammy Darnold delivers. We were on the first half under. Absolute dart, pun intended, for later in the program. And we did double Costanza dip on the Cardinals, who got as high as 13 and a half on the spread, came down to a game winning field goal, and we wake up almost 3 units minus the juice. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Very interesting week 3 in the NFL as we get ready to go into week 4. Just a couple of notes. A very fascinating overall theme going on right now in the National Football League, and no room to complain on my end, considering I was on the Eagles minus the 3. I did get it at the 3.5 still covered. But we also lost a game where we gave out San Francisco that closed at 1.5 as a favorite, and they only win by 1. But as far as late ending heroics, we want to call it pandemonium, teams leading entering the fourth quarter are 31-14 against the spread. That's a 69% hit rate over the full game. Now, this is, of course, per Action Network, does great work. Always shout out the guy, Evan Abrams, one of the best in the business, director of research over there, is laying this stat out. It's actually the worst mark through 3 weeks and over a full season since the wild card era in 1990. So if you're taking that and you're looking at teams who are trailing at half, they're 28-16, 64% against the spread, covering. Betting teams who trail at the half, a profitable spot now for years plural. But just to take that into consideration, just last week alone, Bucks up big against the Jets. They don't cover. Packers look like they're going to soar against Cleveland. They lose outright. Philly down 19 points against the Rams. Win and cover. Is any lead safe? It's over here like an NBA Friday in the middle of February. That's what we're looking at. I did do a reaction episode. Go back and listen. I do genuinely feel like more opportunity than in years past to capitalize on a live betting market. You saw me do it last night with the Arizona Cardinals. You saw me do it with the Chargers, even though we were on the Broncos plus 2.5, really closed at plus 3, still didn't cover. It was a push. The idea of certain teams in certain spots, if they are essentially on your checklist of what you would deem you would need to push a live betting button, a Philly team, balance on both sides, 19-1 in their last 20. A Chargers team, 2-0 against the spread, 2-0 straight up at that juncture. They were getting a little bit of bad breaks here and there in that Denver game. Were they really not going to bring it back? And yes, some Justin Herbert heroics, but the point is, and I said it again on my recap of week 3, yes, a Saints down early, getting a whopping college football Saturday, 23.5 live, all the way up to 31.5 live at the PNW Seattle Seahawks doesn't work out in your favor. Those are teams, those are instances you might have to, although it looks tasty, eyes bigger than the tummy, objects in mirror, not as they appear, what other metaphor you want to go with. But there are all kinds of spots. For instance, you look at this Chiefs Baltimore game. Is anyone going to blow out anybody? Not going to sit here and say, in my gambling gut, this could be a 2-score win for either the Chiefs or the Ravens, whoever you like. Point being is, if there's a live line at any point, Chiefs go up 10, Ravens off to a Snickers hangry, good first half start. You're getting bigger numbers than Vegas gives you pre-flop. It's just something to put in your back pocket as we dive in. Always 5 picks, 5 sides, sometimes one over under. We got 5 sides for this weekend of picks. I like so many games, I had to whittle it down. And I'm on more dogs than favorites. And if you have been listening to me over the past 5 years, going on a 6 year doing this Moneyline Monaco pod, I do like a lot of favorites. But again, I try to take in a lot of analysis. I listen to a lot of shows. We do our fair share of reading. But at the end of the day, even after the ticket splits where the money is, where the tickets are, your gambling gut is what you have to go to sleep with that night. And so, even though, as we start today's program with the blockbuster affair that is the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens, and right now, as we speak, pending where you shop, and again, this program, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, follow me as well on all social, Moneyline Monaco, all picks tracked at Action Network. This is right now a non-sponsored sportsbook podcast. So, what do we encourage? Line shopping. My B minus joke is it's the only shopping I do in my life. You won't catch me at Nordstrom's. Neither will you catch me at Wegmans or Vons or Whole Foods. I'm in line at the sports book early and often, shopping when others are not. I already got the Chiefs +3. Am I going to sit here and co-sign on +2.5? We're going to have to after what we saw. Oh, by the way, Moneyline Monaco on the Lions +4 on primetime was told a couple of chirps that the Lions were going to get their break speed off. No, this Ravens team is unlike Ravens teams in the past. This is one of the least prepared Baltimore Ravens teams in September I've ever seen under John Harbaugh. It is hard to even comprehend when I tell you, forget about what they are off of losses. Now also 10-second comment from 51st Dates, and forget about what they are against the NFC. Because, yes, some of that matters, but this team is abysmal on both sides of the football right now. You don't believe me? 7 sacks on a non-feel-good Monday night for Lamar. Down a Ronnie Stanley. Banged up offensive line. Banged up defensive line. They aren't running the football well. They aren't taking care of the football very well, as far as at least Derrick Henry's side of things. And that, as far as the eye test goes, should have never gotten out of control like that Monday night game did. But just to now get into the numbers here as we get settled in to a Patrick Mahomes rare underdog spot, let alone rare home underdog spot, we're off. One of the worst lethargic, Lamar having to run for his life, offensive line performances for the Ravens, again, that I've seen in years plural. You give up 7 sacks. You let Jared Goff, who's an indoor cat, pun intended, walk all over you. You let David Montgomery, he's still running in Baltimore, still running. Two-headed monster down the gullet of the Ravens. They look soft. They look ill-prepared. They don't look like they have any chutzpah. So you have a bottom 2 Ravens defense, the worst defense in the National Football League, people. The worst defense in the National Football League is the Miami Dolphins. Not your Dallas Cowboys, not the New York Aaron Glenn Jets, not even the Bears. As bad as they looked, letting a college basketball score get hung on them against the Lions. The second worst team, and really by .3 the worst defense in the NFL, as we talk on September 26th, is the Baltimore Ravens. They're giving up 32 points per game. Kyle Hamilton got paid, and he now needs Little Giant Stickum to hold on to anything. This Ravens team can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. It is hard to even comprehend. Not only are they the second worst team on overall defense, giving up a 30 burger on your noggin. All right. They are a bottom three in passing defense. They are a bottom three in rushing, and their overall yardage is absolutely bottom 10. They're banged up. They don't look good. Derrick Henry looks like if there was such a thing as King Henry to have a little bit of a Game of Thrones yips to his game. I mean, 3 fumbles in 3 weeks, it ain't good. Now, here's the thing with Kansas City. They don't look that great either. But a Sunday night win in prime time where they were so, I guess, bend but not break, we'll call it, on defense that they had to go Dable to a Ricky Vaughn out of the bullpen and go get the Jackson Dart kid to save their job. Look, a Stevie Spags defense rarely lays an egg. Okay? Rarely. They're already still a top defense in the National Football League. Everything that the Ravens are, don't worry about it. This is not a defense you have to feel like is the same thing right now that the Ravens are. They give up 18.7 points per game through 3 weeks. Again, we're talking about Mahomes and his lack of weapons, and do they have a run game established, and what are they going to look? The offensive line is still improved from last year, in my humble opinion, with the Chiefs. Thornton's starting to be a real threat. You can't find him on your fantasy football waiver wire. But here's the thing. We know about Mahomes against the Baltimore Ravens. He owns them. All right? Go back to the hangover and put Galifianakis and the baby kangaroo pouch in your lap, and Patrick Mahomes has a little raven, a little nice raven in his pouch, because you know what he is, including the playoffs against the Baltimore Ravens? He's 5-1 on your Baltimore noggin. All right? The Ravens don't own the Chiefs. The Ravens are lucky to even dance against the Chiefs in such big games, and they never show up, and they rarely show out. I'm telling you, everyone's going to go, Ravens awful loss. They're under a field goal. Dude, they don't look good. That wasn't just 1 week. They're a 1-2 football team. They barely beat the Cleveland Browns. They got embarrassed at their place. They're almost untouchable in prime time in those spots. Lamar can't lose to the NFC. And when the Chiefs are up, and I pray if you're on the Ravens, they aren't up early. They're almost impossible to take down. They're 65-7 straight up, 90%. And all these straight up lines matter when you're getting points in this spot. Since 2018, when they're up after the first quarter, that includes 30-0 in the last 3 seasons. If they are winning this quarter, triple down on the Chiefs. Yes, this is a club that has a lot to figure out and a lot to try to get right. But please remind yourself the last time they went against King Henry, they stuffed them. They smoked the Ravens from a run game perspective when it came to King Henry. Derrick Henry had 46 rush yards last September on 13 carries against this team. Why does that matter? Because when Derrick Henry teams rush for 125 yards or more, the 31-3 straight up. When he rushes for fewer than 50, prevalent here, they're 11-32 straight up. 11-32. Now, on a Ravens note, when he goes over 100, they're 10-1 on your face. Under 100, they're 4-7. Look, that's a straight up number. This is a Ravens team that you would expect to bounce back, have pride, etc. They are hurt. They're missing their D tackle. They're missing their left tackle. These are cornerstone pieces for Ravens culture. On top of which, what Patrick Mahomes is as an underdog. He's 11-5 straight up and 12-3-1 against the spread as a starter in this spot. When he's -3 or shorter as a favorite or a dog. In his career, he's 28-12-1 against the spread. He has lost 3, by the way, of those, and twice this season. That's a pendulum swinging the other way spot, baby. Look, if you take the Ravens on the road at Arrowhead and they lose and they don't cover, you're not going to sleep 8 hours. If you back the Chiefs at home, Getting three, which I do expect you can still find out there on a Friday, it's again often in gambling. Can you fall asleep after your research, after your due diligence, and be able to hit the pillow, not sick that you faded, say it out loud, Andy Reid, Stevie Spags, and Patrick Mahomes getting almost a field goal at Arrowhead? Do the right thing. Oh, by the way, the public is on Baltimore. Take the sharp side, as I'm not always on, and take the Kansas City Chiefs +3 to start the program. Next up, I don't like it. I absolutely love it. Give me the pirate ship, Baker and the boys at Raymond James Stadium. We're getting 3.5. I absolutely love it. Do you realize that Philly plays one team not very well, and that's plural over years, even past Hurts, but including Hurts? Jalen Hurts is 1-3 straight up against the Tampa Bay Bucks, against Todd Bowles' defensive-led Tampa Bay Bucks with a side of Arians when it all started. Look, the Bucks have won 6 of their last 7 against Philly. That's all the way back to 2015. Do you realize they're 19-1 straight up since they lost to Tampa last year? They just don't play the Tampa Bay Bucks very well. Yes, Baker and the boys have had to come back 3 times as many weeks. They're now without Mike Evans. There are some splits that lower it. But I'll tell you one thing, it ain't CeeDee Lamb without Dak and the Cowboys offense like it is without Evans. The points go down less than 2 full points. The rush yards go down less than 20. The pass yards go down less than 35. It's not monumental. What's more important for you to get in your gambling coffee is that Baker is 15-7 against the spread as an underdog. You don't think this guy, Progressive Insurance, hold my briefcase, knows when he is dogged and dragged? Go look at the Steve Wilks comment about getting cut in Carolina. Everything is taken personal with the 6-foot man out of Austin, Texas. They're 15-7 under Baker Mayfield when they're getting points. Do you realize Jalen Hurts does not play good football against the Bucks? They don't play good in Tampa, this Philadelphia team. I mean, honestly, 6 of their last 7 they've lost. Secondarily, when you look at Baker as an underdog, he is the second most profitable quarterback in the entire NFL as an underdog in this particular spot. I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, and we were very fortunate to be on Philly last week. Where are they unbelievable right now? They're not running the ball with Saquon Barkley, top in the business. That's for sure. Jalen Hurts had to go superhero to come back against a Rams team that, if you would go do due diligence, knowing West Coast teams back to back, going over that kind of travel like they did to the Titans and to Philly back to back, not great scheduling spot. That does matter, not as much in September. But this Bucks team, 14 penalties last week. Oh, no problem. We come back and win. I mean, the Baker-led Bucks have so much dog, have so much belief, and have so much togetherness that despite going down late, despite 14 penalties, it doesn't matter. They find ways to win. And that's what well-coached teams do. And that's what teams with quarterbacks that can take you down the field at any point, and did it again, and go look up history of 3 weeks in a row, game-winning drives by quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield is in a class of his own. There's also the element of teams coming back after 14-plus point deficits. Teams in the last decade, per Action Network, going down 14-plus points. In the previous game, they come back 54-72 against the spread, well below what you need to be cashing tickets. And oh, by the way, on the road, 20-43 straight up, 24-39 against the spread. So again, thinking about it like a team pulling a rabbit out of a hat, coming back, winning a game they shouldn't, covering a game they shouldn't, going all out and exhausting every ounce of energy to get that win. Shout out Jordan Davis. Now they got to go down to Tampa. Not an easy place to play. And yes, they did also get a little bit banged up, as you saw on that offensive line the second half of that game. Look, this could go one of two ways. This could be a Philly come together moment, and then all of a sudden, Baker banged up offensive line. No, Mike Evans can't run the ball. Jalen Carter stuff in the center. We are on the wrong side. Or it's a back and forth game all 60 minutes. Todd Bowles reminds you again what he is against Jalen Hurts, and you are reminded, oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is 1-3 against this guy. 1-3. Where will you find a spot as good as Jalen Hurts is, as stoic as he is, as much of a winning quarterback as he is? Does he get got in spots like this? We're getting a home underdog off a team on a great comeback win. I like our chances. Bucks plant the ship, and they beat the Eagles, at least against the spread. Now, I'll bounce to a favorite here because I'm on 4 underdogs and I'm on 1 favorite. And that almost never happens on the program. And here is my favorite. I am hoping, because we have it at -3 now, that we're going to be getting a Brock Purdy-led Niners team. Now, I look at this Jacksonville Jaguars team. They're just happy to be here. They are just Liam Cohen happy to be here. 13 drop passes, a team that had a Prince that wasn't promised, Lord Farquaad type throw. One of the worst throws I've ever seen to almost blow a game, but only the Houston Texans, who we're on the wrong side of, can look this bad against a mediocre team like Jacksonville that has you believing that they're a quality club. No, they're not. They are going to be 8-9, 9-8, maybe. We have to remind ourselves 13 drop passes. Oh, this Travis Hunter unicorn doesn't even have 100 yards. Doesn't even have 100 yards. Brian Thomas doesn't even have 120 yards. They don't even make sense right now at 2-1. What I do understand is that Jacksonville never goes to San Francisco and does anything of prominence. The last time the Jags beat the Niners outright, David Garrard beat Alex Smith. All right? San Francisco's won 5 straight against Jacksonville. Okay, that was 2005. 2005. You have to remind yourself who the absolute well-coached Kyle Shanahan, now, we got to love it, Robert Saleh defensive-led Niners are. They're the second best defense in the NFL. Okay? They lose Nick Bosa. Massive. But if you look at the pass rush, if you still look that they got their guy Fred Warner in the middle, calling plays as the captain at 16.3 points per game, second to only the Green Bay Packers, and 5th best right now in passing defense. This Niners team needs to be taken seriously. Here's what's not to be taken seriously. The Jacksonville Jaguars tied for first with Danny Dimes Colts at a +5 turnover differential. If you think for 1 second Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be at the top of the NFL in turnover differential by the time week 18 hits, you'll be out eating Chef Boy RD. They are not who we think they are. The Texans are one of the biggest surprises in the history of the sport in recent memory to go from 3-0, back-to-back division champions, to winless. All right? The West Coast for the Jaguars, historically, over the last 20 years, they're 2-13 straight up. They're 3-12 against the spread. This is that West Coast day game spot, and they got to travel across the country. Kyle Shanahan, for what it's worth, dances against an NFC West opponent and comes back the following week and plays excellent. Secondarily, he plays very good after the Cardinals for whatever reason. He's 11-4 against the spread. The game after facing Arizona, that's the most profitable prior opponent stop. And anytime under Shanahan, they go against an NFC West divisional foe, Seahawks, Rams, and they get a non divisional dance the following week, they're 29-16-1 against the spread. So I like that historically. Secondarily, this was a Niners team that won 2 games with Mac Jones, won 2 games without Kittle, with a banged up offense across the board, the line, the receivers, the quarterback, banged up on defense in a couple of key spots. And they still are winning games. This is going to be a scheme game again. This is going to be doing the little things, winning the time of possession, likely winning the turnover battle. Put some pressure on Jacksonville. This is a Niners team all over people in the front seven. It's going to be startling. It's going to be borderline shocking when you take a look, of course, at what a Nick Bosa-less team would be when it comes to pressure. But I still believe in San Francisco's scheme. There's not a lot of teams that can coach up personnel when they're down true men in this league. Two true talented dudes at cornerstone positions. But albeit a Jacksonville team, I don't see not turning the ball over. Trevor Lawrence, over half an interception. I'll see you on Monday. It is, to me, at -3, a spot where we have to take the home team, and we're likely getting Brock Purdy back. And if it somehow becomes Mac Jones, I'd imagine you get an even better number. But to me, I cannot back a Jacksonville team that's got a league-leading situation in drops, knowing who they've been under a turnover machine at a guy that, again, how many dudes, John Elway, in the history of the league are number one all the way up until there's taken off? Is Trevor Lawrence even competent as a guy you want to back for years? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. All I know is they're excited to be invited to a party on the weekend. They can't believe the popular kids invited them to a party on the weekend. What does that mean? They're just happy to be 2-1. They're going to get sorely woken up by a vicious San Francisco 49ers team that has a cupcake schedule and all season will be finding ways to win. Our only favorite on the Moneyline Monaco pod, the San Francisco 49ers, who smoked us last week on a number, but we were on the right side. Shanahan and the boys take care of the mediocre, the mid, the under 6 foot, the average Jacksonville Jaguars. I am going right back to MetLife for more punishment. Now, might be one of my most wild card picks on the program to start the season, to round out the first month of the season. But we're getting 6.5 points, and we're getting a combo of micro, and we're getting a side of macro. Oh, baby. I just tweeted it. The San Diego Chargers, once upon a time, hard for me even to say the Los Angeles Chargers, because I'll say it for the 900th time. I've seen 3 powder blue sweatshirts in the entire city of Los Angeles in the 8 years I lived there, and now I'm in New York. You got a 3-0 Harbaugh team. Everyone's wearing khaki pants. Everyone is drinking the electrolyte powder blue Harbaugh bolt up winning program juice. I'm telling you. This is a perfect buy low, sell high spot. And we were really, quite frankly, on the right side. And we got the push on the 221 ATS last week. Brutal. But if you think the Chargers on California burrito time at 10 a.m. Pacific in their body clock, all right, are going to go to MetLife at a place who's been beyond hangry for a real quarterback in I don't know how many years. And finally, they get Jackson Dart under center, who's so excited to start. He's calling Dable after Larry David 10 o'clock Curb Your Enthusiasm hours. But this is twofold. This is the uptick you get, and it happens often in professional sports. You get a coach fired. The following week, you get often an uptick in effort. You get a quarterback who nobody wanted clearly under center. Now in the bullpen, you get an uptick in performance. Here's real facts, not fiction, to think about with the San Diego, now LA Chargers. Was Justin Herbert, thanks to Bonita and the front seven of the Denver Broncos, not running for his life at SoFi? Bo Nix broke Wedding Crashers rule number 6 and drew attention to himself in a negative way. Again. And the Chargers stole a rabbit out. They stole a win. It was a Chargers loss written all over it. Now you're sitting here telling me at 3-0 against the spread, at 3-0 straight up, at the whole wide world, loving the Chargers to go the Seabiscuit distance. All of a sudden, the Chargers are not chargering. All of a sudden, people forgot they were so mediocre for so long in clutch scenarios. They lost a team up the Disneyland freeway. I could go on and on and on about how the Chargers will charger. It's a 1 o'clock game Eastern, 10 o'clock California burrito time for the boys from SoCal. They're traveling 3,000 miles after going to Brazil week 1, after a prime time slot in Vegas on the road. So 2 road games back to back, then at home in a game they should have dropped but didn't because Bo Nix can't get out of his own dad coached him his whole life way. I digress. And they steal one. And now they're in your head like they're Buffalo Bills category as far as the hierarchy in the AFC. Listen, Pipkins, Becton, they are banged up on the offensive line. Khalil Mack will not be joining them on the field. Andrew Thomas will be joining the Giants offensive lineman. One of the biggest factors to Giants games in the last few years, ironically, has been Andrew Thomas. So let me just break this down to you. Banged up Chargers offensive line, traveling 3,000 miles, body clock off. Their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. They're undefeated versus a winless team that no one wants to touch. But I remind you, was Terry Benedict's Vegas built off of you backing the favorite and the chalk and what the whole wide world likes? Or was Vegas built off of Lahu Zahers? I'll see you on Monday when the New York Giants win outright. Winless teams in week 4 over the last decade, a 61% cover, 54-34-3. You got 2 of the best cheerleaders in the history of the sport, Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, Sierra's husband. I'm telling you, Scadaboo's ready to run through a wall. The MetLife Stadium is, for the first time in years, going to have a little bit of energy to it. And if you're worried about Charger fans showing up in New York, I'm here to tell you there's going to be 7 of them. I'll be one of them, not going to the game because I'm not going to watch the Chargers lose to the Giants in person. I'd rather watch in the comfort of my $4,000 a month studio apartment the size of my 5'10" frame. I digress. Chargers are going to Charger. Break out the bullseyes, baby. Jackson Dart beats the LA Chargers. Right. On Sunday, I will see you on a non-feel-good, non-victory, non-khakis Harbaugh Monday. And we wrap up. This one I don't love. This one I barely like. But I have to do it. I have to do it. The Dallas Cowboys couldn't have looked worse. Couldn't have looked worse. They looked joyless. They looked lost. They looked like Trayvon Diggs is the worst contract in the history of Dallas Cowboys football. They lose CeeDee Lamb to a high ankle sprain. They just look terrible. Here's the thing. This is their Super Bowl. This is the Micah Parsons game. This is the Micah Parsons revenge game. This is also Sunday night. Cue the music. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. And a great stat I got from Wager Talk. When teams in the first half of the season, prevalent here, are home dogs of at least 7, which the Cowboys are still getting 7 out there. Seen 6.5, but I still see 7. 19, 1, and 2 against the spread over the last 3 seasons. 19, 1, and 2 when a home underdog is getting at least 7 in the first half of the season. The Packers, they're 2-0 straight up. They're up 10-0 on the Browns, and they lose the game to the cul-de-sac father of 3, Joe Flacco, not to be confused with Shane Falco of the replacements. Since 1990, 23 teams undefeated, straight up, blowing a 10-plus point lead in the fourth quarter. Those 23 teams the following week, for what it's worth, are 7-16 straight up. 8, 14, and 1 against the spread. And on the road in that spot, so again, you're up 10, entering the fourth, and you're 2-0 straight up. Pretty specific, but still, that tells you you're a good team, undefeated, leading in the fourth quarter, and you lose. Does it have a compound effect? On the road, it's even worse. It's 5-12 straight up and 6-10-1 ATS. Look, we know the Packers own the Cowboys. We know LaFleur has coached against these teams very well. But what we also know is a lot of that was a Mike McCarthy, former Packer head coach, leading this Cowboys team. I'm not sitting here with conviction like the Giants on a bullpen mix-up with Dart are going to shock the world against the Chargers. I don't have that feeling with the Cowboys and the Packers, but what I do have a good feeling of is pride is finally going to be back in the Dallas Star. There's going to be everyone watching this game. Micah, will he sack Dak? Will he lay Tyron Smith out? Look, this is the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl. They don't like Micah Parsons at all for what he did distraction-wise. And he's going to go off to Green Bay, come back to Jerry's world in prime time and smack him around. It's not how football works. It's not how football goes. I'm telling you right now, the Dallas Cowboys are going to keep this competitive. It's going to be a close game. I don't have any feel on if it's going to be a shootout. Look, Packers are the number 1 defense in the NFL, and the Dallas Cowboys have a top 5 offense. This could go either way as far as a tennis back and forth, but I'll be absolutely on the right side for this one. The home dog in primetime getting a touchdown. Bear in mind, I went to Jerry's World 2 weeks ago on the Moneyline Monaco pod. And what did we do? A difficult thing. We took points with the Giants on the road at Dallas. It wasn't enjoyable, but we still found a way to cash a ticket. I have that same conviction here. I think this Green Bay team, they're going to get the best version of Dallas, and I think Dak's going to have one of those games where I would take overs on Ferguson. I would like them probably to make an emphasis on running the ball with Javonte and a side on Miles Sanders, and you're just going to get effort. And sometimes in the NFL, and it happens a lot, you get the brakes beaten off the previous week, you get embarrassed, not a soul believes in you, and then you come back buttoned up with a solid week of practice and a really locked in group of men and a really big purpose to show up for a lot more than yourselves, but your teammates, your coaches, your fans, and the star on your helmet, and you get a cover. And that's what I think we got. So I got the Dallas Cowboys +7. I have the New York Giants plus 6.5 against the Chargers, hosting the Chargers. I have the Niners -3 hosting the Jaguars. I have the Kansas City Chiefs +3. I will still co-sign on +2.5. I do think they win the game. And I will take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers +3.5. Baker and the boys hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is a week we go 4-1. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Goes a long way. Appreciate you as always on the Moneyline Monaco podcast. Don't forget to hug your mothers. Ta real smooth.